Good Monday to you guys. I think XRP is looking pretty good today. We're looking at, what is this, a $2.69 XRP. We're going to end up moving pretty aggressively on the upside by the end of the year, I'm pretty sure. We might have one more little mini crash, I suppose, because they haven't gotten that Clarity Act done yet, but they're just buying opportunities from my point of view. But you all have seen what I've seen. Gold is flying. If you haven't seen it, it's gone up quite a bit in the last 2 years. I mean, it was just 2 or 3 years ago, it was like at $1,800, and now we're hitting all-time highs. Why do you think that is? Could it be that the world is losing faith in the dollar? I mean, that would be the only reason. Otherwise, you just hold on to dollars, right? Dollars will increase in value, but we've printed the heck out of these things, and we've devalued them, we've debased our dollars. And so now people and governments around the world are increasingly adding gold to their reserves for a good reason. And you have to wonder, what is a dollar, right? Because at this point, when you see something like this, the jig is up. So let's go back to fundamentals and realize, what is it that makes up faith in a dollar? How do you get everybody, your entire country and the world, to agree on a currency? Well, it has to have certain properties. Sound money needs to have certain properties. And so I got this little list online, and I think it'll make a little sense to you. But it's got to be universal, decentralized, and private, as mentioned there. One, it's got to be a unit of account, right? It's something that you can say, this is a dollar. It's 100 pennies, right? You can divide it up. You can make sense of it. It's something that you can hold on in your pocket, and you can go and trade it for value. So it's a unit of account. It's a medium of exchange. You can trade it for value, what I just said. You can take that piece of paper equal to what used to be gold, right? Now it's not equal to gold. They took us off the gold standard in the early 70s. And so now people understand you can just print it into oblivion. So it's lost its value. People have lost faith in it. It's harder and harder to take it down and use it as a medium of exchange. If anybody's tried to buy steaks in Texas, you know it's pretty expensive. But other goods and services have gotten pricier and pricier, not because they're pricier, it's because our dollar is worth less and less. All right, and then so the third thing is a fair unit of payment. So labor, and let me just increase that here. It's got to be labor for labor exchange, right? So in other words, if you're going to go do 5 hours of labor at $50 an hour, then that makes sense, right? $250, you're happy, they're happy, they get what they need from you, you get what you need from them to live your life. It's a unit of payment that you can accept, So if you have a good or a service, your labor or product that you want to sell, you want to be able to be remunerated for a fair unit of payment. And 4, store of value. That's the one thing that the Bitcoin maxis kept trying to pitch Bitcoin off as. But you've seen just recently, I mean, we go up, it goes down. It was $124,000 the other day, it's $115,000 a day. It didn't store the value very well, right? So for that reason, it doesn't qualify. And when it hits a bear market, Bitcoin can go down as much as 80-90% of its current value. So that is not a store of value. In years past, when the dollar was equal to a certain amount of gold, that was a store of value until we debased it. And debasing means came off the gold standard or changed the denomination. In other words, let's say the dollar was equal to 1 ounce of gold at one time. It's not been that, but just for simplicity's sake. And then 10 years later, you say, no, a dollar is equal to half an ounce of gold. And then 10 years later, no, the dollar is only equal to 20 grams of gold. And so now you debase your dollar. So you're getting less gold for that $1. It's worth less. And then you come off the gold standard altogether like we have now. It's just paper. So now you just got to believe me. Believe me because I said so, is where we're at right now. So we got to change all of this, which is why you're seeing gold fly, because people are like, wait a minute, this jig is up. The United States has lost it. So we need to have real sound money. Now, we're not all going to walk around with metal in our pockets and exchange grams of gold. And first of all, it's easy to steal. You can't have that happening, right? Second of all, it's clunky, it's heavy, and will you ever really be able to get it? Is there enough gold for the whole world to be able to use it for trade? No, there's just not enough to use it meaningfully. It's still inconvenient. You still can't transact globally with it very easily either. That's another difficulty with gold. So that's why you've always heard that use case with Ripple, where it's going to be a global cross-border payments, 3 to 5 seconds, full settlement. Will XRP be equal to gold or be backed by gold? Chances look pretty good based on how they're building themselves out. But I'm not willing to say that until I see it. The people that back Bitcoin, man, they're quick to tell you, oh yeah, this is digital gold. I don't think so. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't have that utility. It doesn't have those properties. It's not secure that way. And you're never going to do that with something that you supposedly do not know who created it. And this fictional creator has a ton of Bitcoin in his own wallets. So it's like, no, you're not going to trust the international global financial system to a myth, a man-made myth like that. Let me put it to you that way. So that store of value has got to be there. With XRP, there is a limited supply. Originally, it was created with just 100,000 tokens because it burns a little bit every time there's a transaction on the XRP ledger. It's less and less over time. And it can still last us a very long time. But that feature, that characteristic makes it deflationary. So it's a unit of account, a medium of exchange, a fair unit of payment, and a store of value. So this brings me back to a quote from Thomas Jefferson, and I think this is going to ring true in many of your minds. Let's zoom in on this. He says, if the American people ever allow a private bank or private banks to control the issue of their currency, first by inflation, then by deflation, the banks and corporations that grow up around them will deprive the people of all property, until their children wake up homeless on the continent they conquered. So keep in mind, the World Economic Forum was running ads a few years back saying, you will own nothing and you will be happy. And we're finding it harder and harder to buy homes. Things are more and more expensive. It's tougher and tougher to earn a comfortable living. Young people are staying at home with their parents well into their 30s, some later. It's really tough. It's a tough lift for them to go get a home. That's exactly what's happened because the Federal Reserve is not a government entity. It is not. It is a private bank run by very wealthy private individuals or large corporations, which is exactly what Thomas Jefferson warned us about because there's nothing new under the sun. This is how they operate. They operate in self-interest, and we are just basically batteries used for power. When the power is gone, when our utility, our usage is gone, they throw us out. And they'd rather having us renting everything, which is why you rent Netflix, you rent vehicles. They're pushing all this on us so much more. They're buying out all the single family homes so that we can just rent from them. And I think to a certain degree, if we're not careful, even our money will be rented. So all this leads me back to what we're looking at happen in the gold is surging because people and governments realize that, especially governments, retail consumers can't make that kind of a difference in the price of gold, but nations and large corporations, they definitely can. And they're adding to their treasuries just to secure their place financially. But at this point, you have to ask, well, then what, Mike? Well, it's simple. Crypto is the answer. It is the only thing in front of us, quite obviously, that is intended and marketed as a replacement for money. So now you have to ask yourself, okay, well, then which one? And for me, it's a logical choice. This is an XRP-centric channel because that is the blockchain with the company building and built for precisely this use case. There's no other thing out there that can do the things that Ripple can do. That's why they're acquiring the companies that they are acquiring. It's purpose-built just specifically for those transactions, those large global financial transactions that keep the wheels turning economically for the entire globe. Now, the you and me money, I've told you, I think that's going to be XLM and maybe other chains. But let me know what you think in the comments. This is why I see gold rising, because there's a big change coming and you either wrap your mind around it or you don't. If you don't, man, it's going to be tough sledding. So let me know what you think. We'll see you on the next one. Till next time, adios, amigos.